Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for True Show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for True Show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff. It's a pleasure to welcome you back with us again today. And today we're going to talk about some very important factors, some things that have been going on in our world, and things that need to be resolved. We're going to talk about family. We're going to talk about relationships and the consequences that we're seeing in our world. The problems that we're seeing. We're looking at the problems of drugs. We're looking at the problems of violence, of families, dissolution, separating, tremendous divorce rates. We're looking at problems in this society with economy, with homelessness. And, it seems like there's a lot of finger pointing, or blaming. If it's with the kids, we blame the school. It's the teachers. The teachers aren't teaching correctly. Or if it's in the city, it's the politicians. They're corrupt. They're not leading. And but we have to get back to basics, because simplicities are very powerful, and the basics, when we really get them in, we start seeing things that we've kind of ignored. We thought they became old-fashioned, things that we took for granted, that we thought were just going to be there regardless, and they start disappearing. And instead of the constructive and the beautiful things of life, we start getting the destructive and the darkness and the negativity. And I'm really very happy today to share the show with someone who's a close friend of mine, and she's a life coach. And she's also not only a life coach, but she's a mother. She has 2 of her own children. So, it's very important. And her name is Herla Hernandez. And Herla, I want to welcome you to A Time for True Show.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm so proud and happy to be here, especially to talk about families, children, mother, the communities, and many other things that really affect our society. So, Doctor, yes, well, thank you for having me here in your show. As a life coach, I have many things to share with you about the situation, the drugs, how many things affect our society. I am not I don't judge parents, teachers, and many things. It's our own person who is affected, is ourselves. But something very important that we need to know is that parents have the responsibility to educate their children. I have 2 children, as you mentioned, and thank God everything and the way I educate them was different, because the first one doesn't born here, and the second one's born in the United States in New York. So it's very different. So as a parent and as a life coach, I work with many different peoples from different countries, and I advise, we're going to talk little by little, how can you help in this situation to the children. It's the most important thing to the young generations right now.
The future.
So doctor, the future, we say the future are they, but really we are the future together, as the song, they say we are. Because if the children doesn't grow in a healthy families, we all together get affected of that.
You're saying that, you're so right, because it's happening so much in the world entirely. And you know what? Let's put on the first video, because the first video is what we're experiencing in today's world, with the violence, with the lack of manners, with the drugs, whatever. Let's put on the first video, and then we'll talk about that.
Okay.
They said drugs would make you cool.
Oh, go in my room.
I just asked you
No,
a
Mom,
question.
shut up, Mom.
Tell me to shut
Leave me
up.
alone.
Get back here. Mijo.
Just say it to my face, dude. What? Just say it, dude. What? To my face.
What's wrong with you?
Man, forget you guys.
Hey, wake up, sleepyhead. Pay attention in my class.
They said drugs would make you cool. They lied. Find out the truth about drugs. drugfreeworld.org.
And there you see something that's becoming a very common occurrence in life. It's all over the country. And I know that we run a program that's an education program that's called Drug Free World. And the whole reason is to educate. And why? Because the United Nations in 2016 at their World Drug Conference concluded that we needed to educate. It was a worldwide conclusion of all kinds of leaders, ambassadors all over the world. And there's two facts that we want to give to you today. And one of them is that if children are spoken to by their parents, they're 40% less likely to take drugs. And so, I wanted to ask Herla, because this is a point that she and I have been discussing about, how can we really handle this? Is this only going to be like only educating and the kid has to just read this and that's the only thing? So Herla, let's share with our viewers your viewpoint on what you see overall has to change so that the drug problem can change.
First of all, the video is a very true situation that happen right now in our communities. Anywhere, any country, is not only in some countries than the other. No, it's globally. And especially we are living here in New York City. So we have to be careful what happened in your house. As you, doctor, mentioned about the parents has to know and notice what happened at home, why the children is aggressive, why they act like that. And there is many reasons that we maybe not finish today. There is plenty of reasons, but one, and I want to mention just some of them. Like there is parents has to work outside the house and leave the children alone. This is one in many cases. Some of them also, the mother stay at home, but they don't have the time. And the quality of time is the most important than the quantity of time. We can see many different things in the work. So that's small things make a big difference. So this is another. But also the families disintegration because of divorce. Many things happen. And this is why the people or the children are doing bad things. So we as a parents, we have to pay more attention. We can responsible be the teachers, the school is not responsible. You as a parent has more responsibility. And how to solve the problem? It's not easy to solve the problem when the child's already in drugs, alcohol, or many of the things. But we can start doing and pay attention to the children. There is something that I hear, children, where are your parents? Or parents, where are your children? For me, I change this like a children. When you see a children at a certain time, ask the children, where is your parents? Where are your parents? And thus you can see many children outside. I walk in on the train station, buses and everything, sometimes at 10, 11, and I saw children like 13 years, children at that age, I am not happy to see them outside. What do you think about, Doctor?
You know what, Herla, you bring up some good points, because I think it's not right that, they're out and there's no one even knowing where they are. You're so right. And then the thing that I think we need to address also is that, it's always easy when you have a problem to solve it by saying, well, so-and-so needs to do something about it. But the harder thing, but unfortunately what I have found myself in order to solve the problems that I've had, is that if I really looked at myself and I made so-and-so me, instead of pointing it there, they say when you're pointing there, these three fingers, this is pointing one finger there, but these three fingers are pointing back at me. So I agree with you. I think that we need to take a look, each one of us, as parents, as father, as the mothers, and we have to work with the teachers, and if we don't like the curriculum, I think we need to speak to the school and say, we like the curriculum the way it was. And I feel that at the state level, that the legislatures or the boards of education need to speak with the parents and saying, well, what is the effect of when we've changed our educational system? You've had different ages of kids. How do you compare how this one is done to how we used to do? And really take a look and see, are we doing better just because it's more technology or more modern? Is it really better? And I think sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves and maybe go back to things that we tried that worked better, or things that didn't work before, change them. I think you're totally right. And let's play the next video, because Herla had been speaking together with me about, okay, well, a lot of negatives are always brought out, but what can we do that's positive? So let's show you the next video now on something positive.
Yes.
Be good. Don't party, okay?
I did the craziest thing today.
Was it something gross?
It was just something I never thought I'd do. Like ever.
Did your parents find out?
Yeah, they were totally shocked. My mom cried. And for the first time in a long time, I just felt good.
What did you do?
There you see another great program, The Way to Happiness, and has a lot of this common sense precepts. It seems like in our world, we've lost common sense. And what do you feel about that, Herla?
Yes, we are lost many of the common sense. But sometimes the friends, peers, distract the children. So I believe that when the children follow the the rules of the house, they are doing good things and they deserve the best. As we can see in the video, we saw that the children do the correct thing, and I'm so happy and proud for this.
Yeah, you see, and look at how happy he was.
Yeah,
Interesting,
and also
right?
the parents hug and do something. Especially that kind of thing is very important that we focus on, to give the children a hug when they do something good.
Right.
And always give something, but be careful, because many parents, especially because we live in a country where we all the person came from different countries, we think that giving to the children money, jewelry, things is correct, but depends, and they need to work hard to get it, not just give it and give it. And I believe that if you give just without any things that he did,
Any
like
exchange, right?
An exchange, like the video we saw, and the boy feel happy, the family, the mother. That's why we need to back to the old fashioned, I believe. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think you're right. I think it works. And you know what? I think what Herla was saying is so true. Because if you think about it, at any job, let's take it as a job first, because maybe it's a little easier to see it there. In a job, if you pay an employee and the employee is not doing anything, the other employees will notice and will complain because they're working hard and that other person is not working. So really, any organization, what is a family? A family is also an organization, but it has a lot of love, has a lot of purpose together. So, you know, we need, like Herla said, that when they're very little, maybe all they can contribute is some kind of picture that they made. And we have to take that as something that they gave to us and produced. And like she said, give them a big hug, you know, like what you were saying, you know, that absolutely. You know, if they do really good in school, obviously, I'm sure the parents do that. But, you know, and also one other thing is to give them jobs. At the beginning when they're little, maybe they can't do too many things, but maybe they can take a garbage pail out, or maybe they can, you know, clean up something in their room. But I think it's important for them to have a job. What do you think about that, Herla?
That's very important, because usually parents do everything for the children, clean and everything. So if we, I'm going to tell a very short story about a French family, and I get impressed. Everything is exactly in the place where they do it. And I get like, oh my God, I can't do that. So everything they have like this, no mess, no nothing. And I'm really proud. The children help to do the salad. One do the salad, the other set the table. The other one, the three children, the other one prepare do something different. Then the parents, the mother cook, but the children set the table.
Right.
And they and this is a very good advice if you want to get it. The mother has rules, and they don't say, "Hey, go do this." No, the rules are on their fridge.
Oh, they have already
1, 2, 3.
Everything is already there.
Everything over there. The mother doesn't talk, doesn't say anything. They know the time. 12, boom. There. And I said, something very important, not TV. But you know, when you going to eat with your family, it's something very important. We want to watch TV. But I recommend turn on the TV, sit on the table, the whole family.
Right.
If you have the opportunity, because also this is another issue. Many people doesn't have the opportunity to eat together.
That's right.
Because we live in a very
fast-paced society.
Environment.
That's right. That's
so
right.
My recommendation is like that. If you have you have a breakfast, a lunch, dinner. If you have the opportunity to be together, you make a big difference. So that's my point. It is real. It's real.
I totally agree with you. You know, and I think one thing we need to also do, and do as parents, we have to reach out to our leaders in the community, whether they be the political leaders or whatever capacity they lead, the schools or the commissioners. And we have to urge them to make after-school activities for our children. Because the reality in our world is that, unfortunately, parents need to work. Until we can somehow come to some kind of agreement, we have to realize, we keep talking about economy, getting a better economy, improving the economy, depression. So the economy we need to look at is the wealth of a family, the wealth of having a good social structure, a happy community. You know, somehow with all this emphasis on numbers and money and economy, we've lost the sight that if we don't have families that are happy and together and not separating and not fighting, that how are we going to solve violence if we can't even keep a family together? So I think one of the things that I would like to mention on the show, that I would urge all of you to do, is to speak up to your leaders and say, you know, we need to have more after-school activities. We need to appropriate monies so we can have basketball, so we can have baseball, so we can have dance, so we can have singing, so we can have shows after school. After school, not in school, after school. Why? So the parents can relax a little bit. The parents can know where their kids are. The kids are occupied. We can give jobs to people because that coach can coach that basketball. There can be a few of them. The dance teacher, the choir teacher, the song, you know, the director of the show. These are all jobs. We're looking, try to give jobs to our communities. Well, those are beautiful jobs. And then maybe what will happen, if we do that, and we really make it happen for real, not just talking about it, then we will start realizing, and maybe a boss will say, you know, maybe I'm going to let my workers go home a little earlier. Or maybe the boss himself says, you know what, I haven't really been that good to my family. I've been thinking too much just about money. And maybe they will go home earlier, so they're going to allow their workers to go home earlier. And this is not a movie, but you know, when I watched that movie from Will Smith, Pay It Forward, remember that Pay It Forward? He did good things for other people. And he made that beautiful movie. It was a really beautiful movie. Let's put on the last video, and then I want Herla to comment on it. So let's play the last video for our audience.
เขาจะได้อะไรถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวันเขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลยไม่ได้รวยขึ้นไม่ได้ออกทีวีไม่มีใครรู้จักไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้นเพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้คือได้แค่ความรู้สึก ความสุขได้เข้าใจได้ความรักได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิมในชีวิตคุณอะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
ไทยประกันชีวิตเชื่อในความดี
So there you have it. It's beautiful, right? And I want to ask you something, Herla, because you felt the emotions there. What do you think about these emotions and what's happening in our world?
Unfortunately, in the world right now, it happens negative emotions. We have to change that, we as a person. So walking, I usually take the train, and I can see many people angry and everything, but you know what I'm doing? I smile every day. And I say, hi, good morning. People look at me like this and say, and back like, what happened to her? And I said, this is the way we need to change. One person tell me, this is New York, and I said, no, this is not New York. New York is happy, New York is energy, New York is the best and all the world as well. But the place where I am, I always going to smile. The emotions are very important. If you see somebody angry, just smile and let me know what happened to change. I'm going to very quickly, we don't have many times. I was on the street, one lady was crying sitting there, and I coming back and that's it. But this is very important, just smile, doctor.
You know what? It sounds simple, but it's very powerful, and it also is so important. I think you're totally right. You know, it takes a lot of heart and a lot of love, and you're right. So let's take what Herla is saying. It sounds too simple, but what would happen in that war going on in Ukraine and Russia if somehow some people did that? What would happen if they did it just on a television show and the smile was an understanding of what was going on? What would happen? And here at home, like she said, let's bring our families together. Let's be together. That French family you said was a beautiful example. Let's produce together, and then let's have good emotions by helping each other. Herla, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me and be here with you. I'm so proud to help. I hope many people get something of this conversation, and I'm here if you need me anytime.
We're here for you, and from A Time for Truth show, let's go out and change the world. Have a good night.
Yes, bye.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service. This show was sponsored by
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet